this is getting on my nerves. That one just cut out by itself. Ugh. So, a heathen temple that had been seen by King Aldwulf. It belonged to Aldwulf's predecessor, King Redwald, who had been baptised in Kent, but who, says Bede, whatever his name is, like the ancient Samaritans, tried to serve both Christ and the old gods. Got to keep looking up, make sure it's still taping. Having in one and the same temple an altar for the holy sacrifice of Christ, alongside an altar on which victims were offered to devils. That the idols were actual representations of gods in human shape is borne out of a letter from Pope Boniface to King Edwin of Northumbria, written circa 625. Boniface urges Edwin to accept Christianity and leave the old heathen ways. He writes, I'm doing it fast now. The profound guilt of those who willfully adhere to insidious superstition and the worship of idols is openly shown in the damnable images they adore. The psalmist says of such, all the heathen gods are devils, it is the Lord who made the heavens. And again, they have ears and hear not, they have noses and not able to smell. They have hands and cannot feel, they have feet and do not walk. Therefore, those who make them are like them, as are all who put trust and confidence in them. How can such stocks and stones have power to assist you when they are made to order from perishable materials by the labour of your own subjects and journeymen? Even their lifeless resemblance to human form is solely due to man's workmanship. King Edwin was, of course, converted, and as Christianity began properly to take hold, kings went out of their way to enact laws which had the suppression of heathenism as their aim. On the expectancy of there being no smoke without fire, one may confidently believe that the old gods had their adherents quite up to the time of the Norman conquest, for we find in the Laws of Canute 5 of heathenism, and we strictly forbid all heathenism. It is heathen for a man to worship idols, that is, to worship heathen gods, and the sun or moon, fire or flood, water wells or stones, or any kind of wood trees, or practice witchcraft, or contrive murder by sorcery. I have already mentioned relics of moon worship down to the present, and as for a memory of the worship of wells, one need go no further than Castleton or Bakewell in Derbyshire, not even as far as Lord's. We may conclude then that the Anglo-Saxons and Jutes were practising heathens during their first 5 generations in England, and that the evidence of their heathenism is not so scanty as some historians would have us believe. They worshipped at least 4 divinities, Woden, Thunel, Tu and Frigg. They had temples, images of the gods and priests. The temples, like their houses, were wooden framed and so have perished, but they appear to have been simple rectangular ridge-roofed structures set up in forest clearings, possibly in association with sacred groves or a venerated tree and a holy well. Inside the temple was a sanctum with an altar and a likeness of one or more gods. If ancient Norse and Icelandic fanes offer a parallel, then the Old English temple furniture included a gold ring upon which oaths were sworn, a bowl for catching the blood of sacrificed animals, and a bunch of twigs for splattering the blood over worshippers in the same way as holy water is asperged upon devout Catholics. There is reason to believe that the priests combined in some cases their religious role with that of secular chief or head man of a district. Religious rites followed the changing year with sacrifices of animals which were eaten at ritual feasts. The rites alternated as pleas for favours and thanks for favours received. It is reasonable to suppose that that's not me. That's them. It is reasonable to suppose that their very existence, that's not what it says, depended upon a bounteous earth and a fertilizing sky. These two were in the forefront of men's minds in religious matters. I shall argue that this was the case with the Old English, no matter what the current name for the two great providers happened to be. For the present then, we may believe that our forefathers of 1500 years ago were devout heathens who believed that their very lives depended on their devotion. And for that matter, who is to say that they are mistaken? Now I feel like that was a sacrifice in itself, just getting through that chapter. My phone cuts out every 2 minutes because there's no storage, and I feel a bit ill. Well done if you got through that. I think some of the most interesting stuff was in that one so far. I think it's going to start getting better because it goes into detail about Woden and Frigg and all of that. Who was God? The next one is called Word. W-Y-R-D. So yeah, bear with, I suppose, if you fancy it. Bye.